Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that some stories and discussions in this episode of Radiant Resilience may touch on sensitive and potentially triggering topics. These may include themes of menopause and perimenopause symptoms, including mental health effects, suicidal thoughts and emotional dysregulation, infertility and IVF-related hair loss, career burnout and systemic workplace inequity for women, and emotional trauma from medical dismissal. Our goal is to share real life experiences in a respectful and empathetic manner, offering insights into the complexities of the human spirit and the journey towards resilience. However, we understand that some content might be difficult for listeners. We encourage you to prioritize your well-being and discretion when deciding to listen. Please remember this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice or support. If you find yourself needing assistance, we urge you to seek help from qualified professionals or trusted support systems. Your mental and emotional health is important to us. Thank you for your courage and for joining us in a space of understanding and compassion. Welcome back, everyone, to Radiant Resilience. I'm really excited for this conversation today because I think it's some topics that don't get talked about very much, that a lot of people are maybe don't fully understand, especially if you're younger and not quite going through this stuff yet. But I have with me today, Amita Sharma. Amita is co-founder of Nourish Doc, a global holistic wellness platform for women to manage their hormone transition from PMS to post-menopause. Inspired by her perimenopausal journey and working in the high-tech world, she felt unsupported and a need to bring the taboo topic of perimenopause at the workplace for an open discussion, which I think is super important. With her personal experience of going through perimenopause and keeping it a secret added more stress to the perimenopause state. She is on a mission to make this taboo topic be part of DEI, health equity at work for women in their 40s who feel that they cannot discuss this with HR or their colleagues. Welcome, Amita. How are you today?
Great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much. Happy holidays. I know you and I were doing the fun work during the holidays.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I think this is very important. Being a hairdresser, I work with a lot of women. There's a lot of women in my life. I have sisters, a mom, all that stuff. And I know my mom especially has talked a lot about perimenopause and menopause and all that stuff. So why don't you start with your personal journey into this and all of your personal experience, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I had no clue of the word perimenopause, to be honest with you, like millions of other women around the world. I knew about menopause and you hit it in your 50s, but perimenopause was a completely different beast.
And is that a new term? I feel like I didn't start, unless maybe I was just too young and not paying any attention, but I feel like all of a sudden I started hearing the term perimenopause in the last, I don't know, 6, 7 years and not much before that. So it's not a new term, you're saying.
No, it's the only thing is the generation before us never wanted to talk about the menopause, and the doctors are not taught about perimenopause, and menopause they're taught only for 8 hours. So this term has existed, but nobody talked about it because nobody understood it very much. So that's the truth. So was I. When I started in my 40s and I started getting all these strange symptoms, my hot flashes and night sweats, and that's what I thought. Most of the women, we think perimenopause, menopause is all about hot flashes and night sweats. It's not true. It's everything else as well.
Yeah.
I'll just give you my example. I started getting hot flashes and during the day in the meetings and in at workplace, which was very embarrassing. Then at night, I would get night sweats. I couldn't sleep. And then in the morning, I'll get a brain fog. I'll be foggy. I can't concentrate. My gut health was all over the map and my mental anxiety went through the roof. So count the symptoms that I had, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very common experience for an average woman who's going through perimenopause. Some women can be very lucky, they don't go through these symptoms, but typically 80% or 90% of us will feel some experience different symptoms because of the hormone fluctuations that are starting to happen to us when we start the perimenopause journey. So, perimenopause, the definition is years leading up to menopause, and menopause is when you haven't had your period for 12 consecutive months. That is the definition.
So during perimenopause, you still have random periods here and there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's really the first symptom. If someone says, okay, how do you know you're in perimenopause? The first symptom is your irregular period. Typically, in the earlier time of perimenopause, which is early 40s, the periods would be shorter time frame. In other words, like instead of 28 days, it'd be 20, could be 21 days, could be 15 days. They're more frequent, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now, as you start getting older and you're hitting towards menopause, is cessation periods, right? The periods get more spread out. It could happen after 2 months, it could happen 3 months, it could 4 months, whatever. So this whole process of perimenopause could last up to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's exhausting. That's just perimenopause.
That's just perimenopause. We only talk perimenopause.
I frequently just say men have no idea how good they have it.
Seriously. And the funny thing is, a lot of men have interviewed me and they said, wait a minute, I think I'm also going through some kind of a what's some
menopause?
menopause. Menopause. I'm like, what? My testosterone has gone down. And
I know they deal with lower testosterone, but I feel like that's all.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay. There was Viagra that was done like, I don't know, 20 years back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
it's just crazy. We have to deal with having our periods, the hormone fluctuations every month, getting pregnant, being pregnant, giving birth, and then going through all this menopause stuff too. It's crazy. It's just like,
and then taking care of the kids, right?
Yeah.
A baby needs the mom in the early years. That is a fact. Than a dad.
Yeah.
So we women are very lucky.
Yeah. Okay. So perimenopause can last up to 10 years. And you said it starts typically in the early 40s, mid 40s?
Yeah, typically, see, look, the menopause age is typically an average is about 51, 52, an average age, but it depends on different ethnic and cultural ethnicity that a woman is coming from. In some of the cultures, like Latino American women and African American women, they hit menopause earlier, 47, 48.
Okay.
And the average 51, 52. Some of the Asian women, like Indian women, they hit 45, 46.
Interesting.
And then some of the Muslim women, same story. But typically they say average age is 51, 52.
Okay. Hi, friend, and welcome to this episode of Radiant Resilience. We are always looking for new guests on the podcast. I want to highlight you if you have a story of resilience that inspires others. Everyone has a story, and I believe that sharing yours can help others feel less alone. Are you ready to share your journey and inspire others? I want to hear from you. Every story has the power to impact lives and foster a supportive community. If you have a tale of overcoming adversity, personal growth, or a unique perspective on life's challenges, I would love to have you as a guest on the podcast. To become a guest, please email us directly at radiantresiliencepodcast@gmail.com or click the link in the show notes to become a guest. Join us in spreading hope, strength, and inspiration one story at a time. Be brave and share your story so others feel less alone. I hope to see you soon. Okay, so if someone is facing perimenopause, there's obviously a million different types of symptoms, but do you want to talk about some of the most obvious ones, I guess, if somebody's unsure if they're there yet? You said the period's getting a little bit further apart. What else?
Yeah. So basically, first of all, big disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor. All of my work has been research and talking to about 3,000 different experts from all over the world. So whatever I'm stating, I just wanted to put a disclaimer on that.
Yeah, sure.
So that your viewers know. But on the 35 symptoms have been recorded approximately. maybe more to my knowledge for perimenopause. Now, I named a few of them when I just shared with you what
Yeah.
I was going through. In addition to that, other common symptoms, 50% of the women are going to go through anxiety, probably depression, suicidal thoughts,
Mm.
mood swings. Suddenly you start crying, it's like out of nowhere. And suddenly you're vocal about things that have been buried in the past and they just come out. It happened to me, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And suddenly out of the blue, some childhood thing that you feel was blocked, and suddenly I'm like a volcano spewing out things that I don't know.
Yeah.
So mood swings, brain fog, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, sudden tears. Suddenly you start crying. Then we talk about hot flashes, night sweats, hormonal fluctuations, irregular period, loss of libido, believe it or not,
Mm.
can happen to a lot of women. It can put strain on the relationships as well. And that is a fact. 60% of the women who get divorced are going through menopause, perimenopause in UK and
Really?
US. Yes. So
That's
menopause
interesting.
has something to do with the divorce as well, in addition to whatever else is happening. And then gut health, your gut, basically your gut microbiome changes, your bone mass, your joint health, your fatigue, your metabolism changes. You start putting on more weight around the belly, bloating, weight gain. This is
Mm.
enough, right?
Yeah.
This is more.
All the things. We sound like a drug commercial right now. Side effects.
Yeah, exactly. We sound like,
Um,
oh, hair thinning, hair.
yes.
Okay, that's what you are expert on, hairstylist. A lot of women postmenopausal, like 60 and plus, or maybe more, they have very less hair. The hair thinning and hair loss starts happening as well.
Yeah.
And
And
that could be low of self-esteem sometimes, right?
yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard for women. Men, they can just, they struggle with it too if
Yeah,
they enjoy their hair. I have a husband who's been balding for years and he could care less. He just shaves it. But there are some men that would affect a lot more. But especially right now, I'm seeing a lot of that in the perimenopause phase, I would say, because the hormones are starting to change. And so women are noticing more hair falling out at this
yeah,
point in time. And I tell them every time, I'm like, go get your hormones checked, go get your thyroid checked, see where you're
yeah,
at. Because a lot of them
yeah.
haven't done it in years, really. Like, since they don't have any obvious other problems, then they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, yeah. So you can imagine all these things, physical changes, mental changes, relationship changes, social, basically, your career changes too. Because the way the world is, they're always looking for younger people, and you might not feel that you fit in or you have to keep up with the younger, especially in the tech world where I work, is very cutthroat and it's geared towards the younger people, unlike some of the other professions.
Yeah, why don't you
So
talk a little bit more about your experience in the workplace when you started going through all this? Because I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to about not feeling comfortable talking about it and maybe how it
yeah.
affected you at the workplace.
Yeah, so that's the problem. Even in today's day and age, I was reading up only 1% or 2% of the companies in the United States that talk about menopause or have something related to menopause, bigger companies. So thank God for that. Now you can imagine me going through it, and I'm like, I don't even know the word perimenopause, as I said, and I
Yeah.
don't even know where to go to get help. And if I go to HR, maybe, and then other people might judge me, my colleagues, that I can't do my work properly, all those kind of feelings, right? That it's natural, that would come to anyone. And here I am sitting in the meetings and I'm sweating like a literally like profusely, and having like a heart, my heart is beating a little bit faster than it's supposed to do. So I had a lot of these embarrassing moments multiple times, and it quite honestly, I personally thought that I'm at a good position, that I can rise up to a certain level to get to the next level. Let's put it this way, climbing the ladder in the corporate. And I couldn't even function. I don't even know how I survived, because I had to do a lot of different things, and I ended up quitting my full-time job because I was not able to focus. I was not able to do my work properly, and I could not handle 24 by 7 work culture. Not that I'm exaggerating 24 by 7, but a work culture that's not only 9 to 5. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Tech is like that. It's not 24/7, but still it's not just 9 to 5. You
Yeah.
go work for a tech company. And I had to quit that because I didn't want to do injustice to the work I'm doing and to myself because I was not able to function. So it absolutely impacted my career, my financial. I ended up working on consulting, contract jobs, which I didn't want to do, but I had to because I wanted to take breaks in between. So
Yeah.
make sure after a contract, I take about a month off or couple of months off and then take another contract so that I'm pacing my health and my wellness, my
Yeah.
well-being, not in going crazy. So
Yeah.
it absolutely impacts, right? And then I started embracing a lot of holistic lifestyle. I started digging into it and I started researching to help myself. And at that time, even a visit to a doctor was a pill, like, hey, take an antidepressant pill. And I didn't want to be antidepressant and the rest of
Yeah.
my life. I'm not a depressed kind of a person. I'm a happy person generally. So this is the scenario I'm talking about 10 years back. And things have changed. Look, things have changed for the better now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Things are definitely so I want to pave a good, like a future for the younger women out there. And that's why I'm here, what I'm trying to do, that other women should not suffer in silence the way so many of us have done that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. And there's so many things about women's health and hormones and stuff that we have not talked about. I got an
Mhm.
episode coming out before this talking about postpartum depression and stuff like that too.
Yes,
And so it's so crazy how much of our bodies our hormones control all the time.
correct.
And if something
Yeah.
is off, then just crazy stuff starts to happen. So
Mhm.
what did you quit your job and you switch to consulting?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then how did you just start doing a bunch of research for yourself? What kind of things did you find helped you holistically to get through these stages?
Yeah, so I started doing a lot of research, and in fact, at workplace, people started associating me as so holistic health expert. The
Love
people
it.
who started coming to me and say, "Oh, I have whatever XYZ. What should I do? You do so
Ooh,
much research." So a lot of things helped me. I did a lot of things, and I didn't put it. I didn't have a notebook like, "Oh, first I did this, I did this," but I
sure.
did a bunch of different things. Just to give you an idea, I started doing acupuncture regularly. I started embracing Ayurvedic daily lifestyle. We can talk in detail, all that. I changed my diet completely. Whatever I was eating, I started reading up what a woman over 40 or they should look like, right? What kind of diet it should look like. Exercise, I changed my entire routine. I started taking herbs and supplements, some Ayurvedic herbs, started using some essential oils. The only thing I didn't do was therapy, talk therapy, or a psychologist mental for my
Okay.
mental health. But I felt that I was in pretty good shape. I did not need that, but most of the women do need that. And then a little yoga, a lot of yoga, breathing, not too much of meditation, but I would say a bit of sound healing. So yeah, so all these things combined started helping me. And luckily, my metabolism changed, believe it or not, and because I
Okay.
started taking care of myself so much. And I actually, knock on wood, feel healthier now than I was young at a younger age.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. How often were you doing acupuncture?
A couple, maybe once in a couple of months, not too long, but
Okay.
not too much, not too frequently, I should say that. I haven't done that for about a year now, but I started during this whole process. I also had a problem of frozen shoulder. This left shoulder, I could not even raise my arm. It just got stuck. It's
Oh no.
one of the symptoms, by the way, as well.
Really?
Yeah, it could be. And so my got stuck, like it was like this. I could not even raise my arm above that. For this to fix this, I was so worried because I love to do like strength exercises, strength workout. So for that, I ended up doing acupuncture for almost a year. And
Okay.
I don't know what happened. She fixed me, they fixed me, and here I am. I'm perfectly fine. So that was part of the acupuncture that I did, and I did a lot of Ayurvedic procedures or therapies, I should
Yeah.
say.
Talk a little bit
I
more in
did a lot of
detail
that.
about that for people who don't know what that is.
Yeah. So Yeah, I can talk. So acupuncture, I think most of us know, right? What
Yeah.
acupuncture,
Mhm.
acupressure is, right? Okay. So Ayurveda is basically science of life. That's what literally it means, Ayur and Veda. And then it comes from about 5,000 years, the same as traditional Chinese medicine or acupuncture is. And it's started from the eastern part of the world, specifically in India. And it talks about living your life according to nature. It's very simple. We talk about the same thing, circadian rhythm. If you look at the
Mm.
Western correlation, and I'll do the correlation of what Ayurveda talks about and how we talk about in Western society today. Circadian rhythm is nothing but living your life. When the sun is out, you wake up. When the sun is down, you sleep, following the nature's rhythm. That's exactly what Ayurveda also talks about on a daily level, daily basis. Also according to the season, eating according to the season, and eating according to your metabolism, according to your physical and mental constitution. That is the big difference.
Okay.
So think of it like you say you get your blood tested and you are eating according to whatever is nutrients that you are deficient in, and the
Mhm.
diet that works for you, right? Taking into account all the food allergies, food tolerances, and all that stuff. So it talks very basic on who you are, what you are, and you should eat according to that,
Okay.
according to your metabolism, basically. That's what we are saying in correlation, which we talk about in science all the
Yeah.
time. It's nothing new. And it also talks about different tastes, including different taste of food on every single day. The way in Western world we talk about the rainbow diet, right? We say, hey, eat all colors, right? We do that. So
Yeah.
in this case, they are saying eat all taste. Your salt, your sour, your pungent, your astringent taste. So think about it. Let's say we talk about prebiotics, probiotics.
Mhm.
They're saying the taste. So if you have that, you already have a different taste. As an
Yeah.
example, that so it's saying the same thing in a different way is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it has a lot of therapies, like massage therapies using medicated oils.
Okay.
That's a big difference.
So
And
did you
got a lot of done. Yeah, I got a lot of it done.
did you do that mostly for yourself, or did you see someone who did some of those massage things and stuff like that with you?
Not with me, but I talked to enough of these experts in the United States and all over the world, and these massage therapies have actually researched now that they do work. As far as, for example, I'll just give you specific examples. Stress is huge for women. We talked about that.
Yeah.
So there is a therapy. What did they call this? What they basically do is they pour a warm oil in your hair here.
Mhm.
So we know this is a chakra, third chakra. So this is actually a funny thing is this is also an acupressure point. So
Yeah.
if you rub here, and it's also an EFT point, right?
Yeah.
The in the tapping point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all similar. So what they do is that they keep pouring the oil here on your forehead, and of course it goes on your head. And the procedure is called Shirodhara. And this is a research that talks about that it helps you with sleep as well
Oh,
as with lowering the stress.
okay. That's
That's an
really
example.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the same way, certain breathing techniques, if you do certain breathing techniques, we know that it has a research of calming you down, right? Calming
Yeah.
your breath is very powerful, and it helps you with sleep, it helps you with stress, anxiety. So these are the things I started incorporating in my daily routine to help myself. These are simple things, but if you make one routine at a time, or start incorporating one habit at a time, then it becomes your daily routine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How long? So you start doing all these things, and about how long do you think you were doing all that stuff before you noticed a difference in how you felt?
So I was shooting in the dark, right? I did not because no, I was experimenting on myself is what I'm saying. I wish at that time I had known to go to a naturopathic doctor as an example, or go to a holistic doctor. I did not do that. Because I did not have the knowledge, let's put it
Hmm.
this way. So I think I started doing very religiously, and I think within 2 3 months I
Okay.
started noticing difference. And now, like I said, it's become my routine to do these things. For example, for your hair, you're talking about the hair thinning for so many of your clients. So there's a whole thing on hair as well. putting certain kind of oils on your head and
Yeah.
putting some kind of herbs in your mouth for your hair, this thing. I'm talking about the Ayurveda here. So
Yeah.
I do that. I do all that.
Okay.
Putting certain type of oils. Just to give you an example, there's an oil called amla oil.
Almond
It's
oil.
it's it's supposed to help with your hair, the hair thinning part, as an example.
Okay, so that's something you would just rub into your scalp, basically. And do you leave
Yeah,
it or do you rinse it out after a certain time?
I leave it for a Saturday weekend. In the morning, I'll put it and I'll leave it out for about a couple of hours or so,
Okay.
and then I just shampoo it out afterwards,
Okay.
like
All right, everyone listening, take note. Almond oil helps with hair
amla.
loss.
Amla. It's actually
Amla.
AMAMLA.
Okay.
I'm going to increase the sale of this amla oil. No, so it is available on Amazon. Which brand you want to buy, it's completely up to you. I just use that amla oil. Like
Mhm.
I said, it's readily available on Amazon. There's another oil that has a lot of research for hair, specifically for hair, is Bringraj, Bhrinj, Bringraj, Raj. It is also available on Amazon. It helps.
Okay, I'm gonna make note of these because I have not heard of either of
You
these,
ever
and I
heard
feel
of
like this
these?
is stuff
Okay.
I can help my clients with.
I know you could help your clients with all this. And
Yeah.
these, so I use these oils, and luckily so far I've been lucky with my hair, right?
Yeah.
But these oils I use them regularly every week without any, without fail.
Yeah.
And then of course supplements you can take for hair as well,
Yeah.
which I'm not going to talk about because I'm
Yeah.
not a doctor, but generally that's what a naturopathic doctor would do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I was doing IVF last year, and when I did my last embryo transfer in November of 2023, and they had me on all sorts of just crazy meds and everything. And when you do that, your hormones are all over the place. And
Yeah.
in about January time, December 2023, January 2024, I
Yeah.
lost probably 50% of my hair going off of all those meds.
Really?
And
Oh
yeah,
my.
yeah, which is why it's short now. But I had to cut it because it was so thin and icky.
Yeah.
But it was the first time that I personally had experienced that much hair loss due to, I'm assuming, hormones. Like I said, they had me on
Yeah.
a slew of other things too. But it was awful. It was
Yeah.
absolutely awful. And I would just go on my hair like this and just pull out like so much
Oh my
hair.
God.
It was terrible. It did. I am very fortunate that it stopped
Yeah.
falling out and it started growing back. And like I
Yeah.
started off with hairs like an inch long off the top of my head that just stuck up all day long. But
Yeah.
but yeah, and I just have so many women that come to me about that. And it's so hard. In addition to all this other stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, no, even my hair also started thinning. I think a few months back, about a year back. And I've always had full head of this kind of hair.
Yeah.
And everybody used to say, oh my God, you have so much hair. And so I told you what I started doing, right? This whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And now it started growing back. It's still not the same like I literally had this kind of a hair, but this is fine. But I also had to do all kind of different things to make sure my hair grows back, and it started
Yeah.
growing back now. But even my hair also started thinning quite a bit, quite a
Yeah.
bit. I'll tell you. And mine was definitely hormone fluctuations for
Yeah.
sure because I'm going through this whole thing, right?
Yeah. What phase would you say you're at currently then in the
I'm
menopause?
definitely, yeah, no, I hit my menopause.
You're in
The phase,
menopause. Okay, so
yes, I get it.
how do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
determine
I'm
that
in
you're in,
menopause.
how do you determine you're in postmenopause?
The day you hit menopause, you are technically in postmenopause for the
Okay.
rest of your life until you
Okay.
die.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like a third phase we don't know about.
No, the day basically, like I said, 12 months, no period, you're
Okay.
technically in menopause, right? That's the definition. So that happened to me. And now, technically, once that happens to any woman, you are technically a postmenopausal woman till the periods are not going to come back. That's the truth.
Do the hormones balance out at that point, or are they still all over the place?
So they're better,
Okay.
but then the other problems can start happening to women, like bone loss, right? Now we don't
Yeah.
have as much hormone as when we are younger, when we are ovulating, when we want to have kids. So we have very little estrogen and progesterone. That's what happens. And the best progesterone is a good, feel good hormone for our skin, That's why you see older women, the skin, older people generally, the skin kind of moisture, the collagen kind of goes
Yeah.
down, right?
Yeah.
And then, so bone loss, osteoporosis, we know that a lot of seniors have issues with the falls. And
Yeah.
then you're also prone to diabetes if you haven't taken good care of
Mm.
yourself during the perimenopause, because a lot of women get through blood sugar spikes up into, and I used to do that. Oh my God, suddenly I'm telling you, it's so crazy. Suddenly I have to eat so much chocolate and my blood sugar would go like crazy. So
Yeah.
balancing your blood sugar, and you could be pre-diabetic and then diabetes can kick in. We talked a little bit about brain fog, right? I'm
Yeah.
not saying brain fog is dealing to dementia, but lack of care could start getting into memory issues or dementia down the road. Heart health, cardiovascular, we talked a little bit about that. Women are more prone to heart issues, believe it or
Yeah.
not, postmenopausal.
Okay.
Cancer, we know breast cancer, cervical cancer, uterine cancer, all those things, women are more prone to that. There's some research that talks about the hormonal imbalance of the estrogen dominance could be a cause during what happens during the perimenopause. It could cause. So there's other things that women have to now make sure that they are not falling prey
Mm.
to a chronic condition, which is going to continue with them the rest of their lives. And the scary part is the data says 80% of the women in America over 55 have one chronic condition.
Really?
80%,
80%?
yes. 80%, yes,
Oh,
CDC.
wow.
No
Wow.
wonder trillions of dollars are now, they're talking about chronic condition all the time. But the thing is, that's fine. But the root cause, we have to go back here, is what I'm
Yeah.
pointing, right? You can't
Yeah.
say here, you have
Yeah.
to come this way.
Yeah, one of the things that irritates me the most after being thrown into the infertility world is how easily they just prescribe birth control, because
Yeah,
I had very painful periods when I was a teenager.
yeah,
And the solution every time I went to a doctor, I went to multiple different doctors, was always to
yeah,
try a different type of birth control instead
yeah,
of looking into why I might be
yes,
having such painful periods. And maybe some
yeah,
of that has to do with cost and the tests that it would take to look into all of that and whatever. But I think I still have clients whose teenage daughters are being treated the same way. They're like, oh, I have a heavy period. It's painful.
mhm,
Okay, here's the birth control pill. And I was on
yeah.
birth control for probably 15 years
Oh
consistently.
my God. But did you
And
have a successful IVF?
no, I never did. I think that there's some part of that definitely
Yeah.
contributed to my infertility as well. And then I
Mhm.
hope my mom doesn't mind that I share this on here, but I guess I can edit it
No,
out if
no.
not. But then my mom started going through perimenopause stuff and they were prescribing her birth control pills to try
I
to
know.
manage her symptoms. And I'm like, these are two totally different phases of
Yes.
life. Why is that
Yes.
the go-to? Here you go, just do that. It's like the
Total
NSA.
solution. Yeah, exactly. See, the thing is, not that I want to poo-poo medical world here
Right,
or the
right.
medical industry or fraternity. I come from a family of nothing but medical doctors. But on the other hand, and I'm not blaming them, but they have only 7 minutes. How
Yeah.
much time do they have to talk to you or me or anyone else?
Yeah.
And that's why there's a whole concept of integrative medicine and functional medicine, lifestyle medicine, which I think you should consider. A lot of MDs have started going into that and have had successful with women like yourself who want to conceive, because the root cause could be completely different. You might have inflammation inside your body that has been accumulated over the years and years, and you might need a detoxification as a starting point. And that's what actually Ayurveda, by the way, we were talking about it. And a lot of Ayurveda doctors, they prescribe like a panch karma or detoxification from inside of your body and out, and they cleanse you out if you're
Mhm.
trying to conceive, because that's could be the one of the reasons. Not that I'm trying to play a doctor here,
Yeah, yeah.
but you know, I would, so that's one of the things also. A lot of women start getting estrogen dominance because we've been using makeup, we've been using all kind of hair care products, all kind of household products, and we have all these toxins that are built into our body, which we don't cleanse out
Yeah.
inside out.
Yeah, it's so true. I just had that conversation with a client the other day because we were talking
Yeah.
about the infertility rates rising. And she's like,
Yes.
why do you think that is? And I was like, I think a lot of it is environmental and
Yes.
that kind of
Yes.
stuff. And so, unfortunately, there's a lot of that stuff we don't have control over also.
That's
But
right. The food supply as well here,
Mhm.
and the food supply is so laden with toxins and pesticides, and we ingesting all that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we all of us and need a detoxification, and Ayurveda has that cleanse twice a year. That's what they recommend. It's
Mhm.
not juice cleanse, by the way. It's
Yeah,
it's a proper cleanse
yeah,
that I haven't gotten it done for a long time,
yeah,
but it's a good idea to consider
yeah.
detoxification. A medical detoxification is what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And especially with all of the IVF meds that I've been on, it's
Yes.
there's a lot
Yeah.
going on
Yeah.
in there. But tell me about what is Nourish Doc, your
Yeah,
program.
so all these things we talked about, right? Women have so many. I wanted to, based on my personal experience and talking to about 3,000 experts from all over the world, I wanted to give a platform or give something that is unbiased, full of research, full of evidence, and women can find answers to the journey that they're going to begin, right? The perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. Nourish Doc is all about holistic wellness for women who are entering this phase, and they can come into Nourish Doc and find the why,
Mhm.
whys of the perimenopause and all these stages, what to do, how to do it.
Mm.
So we're literally covering why, what, and how. And how can I change my diet? How can I incorporate holistic therapies? So the base would be a simple app, which is going to be super affordable, like $5 to $10, when most of the women can afford all that to take care of themselves. And then after that, there'll be an add-on if you want to talk to a naturopathic doctor, like I told you, I wish I had, or if you want to talk to someone who can help you more in detail, then there'll be add-on of the experts who are vetted experts, right,
Okay.
on Nourish. And so that really is the idea, to give the tools and empowering women with the tools and the experts and the knowledge they need to start taking care of their health and wellness into your hands and learning about it and taking control, and self-care, from self-care to guided care, group care, just to make it affordable. I was very particular about that. And to one-on-one concierge, a lot of us want it. It could be that. And we don't have the fertility part yet because the fertility is very complicated, as you are
Hmm.
explaining.
Yeah.
But at some point, you want to add postnatal depression and maybe fertility as well. We have a lot of experts who want to do fertility, but
Yeah.
at this time, we are focusing on PMS and then perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, and maybe PCOS.
Okay. Okay. That's really helpful. Yeah, we didn't really talk too much about PMS. I have had a couple of interviews talking about PMDD. Do you talk about that much?
We don't. We mainly, our focus is honestly on the journey beyond the reproductive years. That is our journey. That is our focus. But we are including PMS and PCOS. But our focus is more on this a midlife journey of
Yeah.
a woman. Yeah.
Yeah. How soon do you think? I'm assuming that most women don't start looking into this stuff and trying to help it until they're already
Yeah.
in perimenopause. Is
Mhm.
it something that you would highly recommend us younger people to start looking into sooner to help with that transition? Or is it not really something you can do until you're in it?
No, I think 35-year plus women should
Okay.
understand, because like we are talking about a lot of reasons because of that. The reasons for infertility, sorry,
Mhm.
could be related to hormonal fluctuations, and birth control might not be the right answer. I don't know,
Mhm.
but there could be other therapies that could help those women, as an example. I think in overall, I would say a woman 35 plus, or even who's trying to conceive, should start embracing a holistic lifestyle, and like we were talking about the cleansing in
Yeah.
the part, and we have a lot of that, and should be knowledgeable about
Yeah.
what is going on, right? I'm not
Yeah.
saying come and stay with us. I'm saying come and at least understand what might happen to you, and you how to recognize those symptoms when things are happening. You don't want to be caught off guard. Like I was, I had no clue. So I
Yeah.
think it's a good idea for 35 plus women, not younger. I don't want to scare them.
Yeah, this is your future. Have
I
fun.
know. Oh my God, I'm the woman's going to say, I'm never having kids. I'm never doing this. I'm never doing that.
Oh, man, yeah.
So I think around late 30s is what I would say. That is the target audience we are going to start reaching out to, and all the way. And we stop around 65, 70, because
Okay.
beyond that, then it's a bit, we can't fix, or nobody can fix some of the things at that time. So that's the
Yeah.
age. Yeah.
Yeah. What about women who have like hysterectomies? I know sometimes they leave the ovaries, sometimes they take the ovaries, but I have a friend who had a hysterectomy at a very young age because she had horrible
Yeah.
endometriosis. But I'm assuming that kicks
Yeah.
into those perimenopause,
Early menopause, right?
early
That's actually
menopause. Yeah.
scary. That is medical now. Because
Hmm.
if someone has had hysterectomy, she is into forced menopause, which
Yeah.
they call it early menopause. And a lot of doctors that I have interviewed, they talk about, let's say someone's really young at age 40, as an example. You're supposed to get into menopause at that time. So you've already depleted these hormones which you need. So they might recommend hormonal replacement therapy at that time,
Okay.
right? So
Hmm.
that becomes very medical, but more on the wellness initially. And if you need more medical, then we highly recommend you seek one-on-one consultation.
Yeah.
Our platform is not geared towards helping with such medical conditions. So
Yeah.
it's,
I imagine that's a pretty big shock to the system, right?
yeah,
Because it's like all of a sudden, like you said, it's like, in the morning you were in your regular cycles and in the
suddenly
evening
the
you're in
cycles.
menopause. Yeah.
Yeah, it's shocking. It can be very shocking to that person who has gone through hysterectomy at a younger age, because suddenly you are in menopause, and typically menopause is associated with such a taboo topic, and right, in the
Yeah.
last decade or so, or few decades. My mom never talked about
Yeah.
menopause. Now we are beginning to talk, thank God for that.
Yeah. 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 Amazing. Thank you so much for this conversation. What parting words do you have for my listeners?
So I think for women, I would say believe in yourself, invest in yourself. We women are always looking out for others, whether it is our family, our parents, our kids, our husbands, or whatever, partners. We don't pay attention to us, looking out for us. I think it's very important for women to take care of themselves. So self-care is not selfish, is what I want to
Mhm.
really say. The self love is not selfish, self-respect, self-esteem, all those things. It's important for women. And I really want to leave with the positive vibe of, if you do self-care, if you love yourself, you will be able to ride through this phase of life with, yeah.
I love that. We need more self-care of women. We need that. All right.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Amita, thank you so much for this conversation. I really appreciated it. I will link the ways to get a hold of you and Nourish Doc in the show notes. So if anybody is interested in her program, her app, definitely check out the show notes for that. And all your social links we'll put in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for this conversation. I think hopefully it is empowering some women out there listening. I really hope so.
Me too. Me
So
too.
thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in the stories shared, please consider following us on your preferred podcast platform. Your ratings and reviews make a huge difference. They help us reach more listeners and continue bringing you engaging, insightful content. We appreciate your support and would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Until next time, keep listening, growing, and sharing.